Hi guys. So Unreal have released this live link face app, which is amazing, and it integrates great with the Unreal Engine, especially with this Kiteboy preset that I've linked to here. But there's a lot more functionality on the hood that hasn't really been explained very well. So I've had a crack at making it work. The OSC commands in particular. All at the very bottom of the documentation, all this stuff, to get it all controlling remotely, meaning that you could attach your phone onto a rig and then have a motion control full body thing and have the phone moving around and control it directly from your computer, turn it on and off, and even send files to it, which is really useful. Yeah, I'll run you through what I've learned, what works, what doesn't, and also the stuff with the Kiteboy preset, how to get that all working if you can get it working. For a start, if we go into the Kiteboy head, you can actually delete the pawn, the Kiteboy pawn in the original scene. It's just for the app, and now this handles the app, which is great. But if we go in, it said in the documentation that to make it work, you need to go to the animation blueprint and turn on update animation in editor, which is right down at the bottom here. But see, you can't actually turn it on. Oh wait, hang on. I'll move this. Move this so you can see it. My face is in the way. Update animation. See, you can't actually click it. So what the hell? But there's a way around it. If you go into the blueprint, the blueprint, you can actually reference the skeletal mesh, or even just in here, if you just put set update animation in editor and it knows that it's the skeletal mesh, you can turn it on with a boolean. You can put that on the event begin play. I've got it on when I click that in editor calibrate button. If you don't know, it's up the top here. Where is it? It's here. You just press it once, the neutral pose, and it'll sort of offset all the curves of the stuff. Cool. As well as that, this guy. So you just got to rig up your face with 32 blend shapes as recommended by Apple. So all these, you make them, link them up, away you go. But there's plenty of information on that. I just want to talk more about the actual sending and receiving information via OSC and TCP. So yeah, I've made this basic interface here. So yeah, we can record. I'll go into all that later. OSC settings. Device status, you turn that on, you can see the battery life, 11%. Screen on off. Live link on off, I think it's up there. Yep, that turns on off. AR tracking, we'll see this better if I put this on. AR tracking on and off. So if I turn that, it should just freeze. Yeah, it's frozen. And now we're back. Sync, take, and slate. So if I set my take up here, I say it's scene 1, take 3. What is it? Oh, it's good here, but say I'll just put on take 1, just see what happens. Oh, it already has take number 1. Take number 2, maybe. Damn. Okay. I see the problem. I'll just delete everything. Okay, going back. Set a take 2, and if I'd press that, yep, well, it's kind of worked. The numbers are wrong, but it's worked. So, yeah, I'll go into the blueprint and explain what's going on. So I've made a thing called connection listener, and I've just included that here. And basically, what we want is an OSC server, and we want an OSC client. Sorry, I'll turn this face thing off. We can enable it by going plugins, built-in OSC. Turn that on, open sound control. It's a simple little protocol. It just sends an address, and then it might send a couple of different bits of information, not bits, you know, a string and a couple of variables. So, and you can use it for anything, not just Unreal. You could attach a keyboard and send it into Unreal, or you could send in, you know, whatever. So I'll just go on start. So event begin play. We set a timer by event, and that timer is linked to a widget that controls basically the live link. And we can go, is live link subject enabled, true or not? We cast that to the UI. And also we get that live link plugin, variable live link, break it down, and we get the name, and we've put that into a UI variable as well. And so I've got that in here by just going get live link subjects. So it's going to find them all. I'm just going to get the first one, which is 0, and save it into the variable live link. So when we play, we can see that it's connected, because sometimes it drops out, and you want to know when it drops out. So that's that. Moving on, start TCP server. I'll come back to that because that's not necessary. That's too good for getting the big chunk of the file from here to there, which we do later. But for now, all we need is a create OSC client. We need the IP of the device, which I've plugged in here, and we need a port. The port I've made 8000. I think if you go into here, into the settings, OSC, there's your IP address, and there's your port, 8000. You plug that in, give it a name, great, you make it a variable. Yeah, and then that's all you need to do to send information, and you can send those these addresses here that are provided, and it's pretty simple to do that. I'll just let me go back. So say we want to send check the battery. What is it? Okay, check battery. So you send battery query, convert string to OSC address. You make an OSC message with this little constructor here. You set the address as this address, great. And then you send it off to the OSC client. We've designated the OSC client back over here as that, and it just works. Sometimes you need to attach some more things to it, like, for example, you need to, what's a good example? Okay, record start. So record start needs, okay, you need to include the slate, and you need to include the take as an int. So what you do is you convert that string to an address, record start, you set the address as that. Then you also add some messages. So we've added a slate value to the string, we've added an integer value to the message, and then you send it off. Simple as that. You just do what it, set the address, include the bits of information it needs, and that's all it needs. Great. I found that because it was all getting a bit samey making these, I was going like that and turning them into collapsing them into a function. Technically, these are functions. I don't know why, but it doesn't work when you make it into a function. They've got to all be in this one big event graph. Maybe it's a memory thing. If anyone knows why it isn't working for me, please holler. So that's great. They all work. But sometimes you need to get something back. For example, when you send battery, you'll get a message, battery query, you get a message back saying battery and then an integer with the battery. So we need to create an OSC server. For that, you include your computer's port address, IP address, your computer's port. I've done 6000. Yeah. start listening, boom. So it'll be listening, great. Sometimes it drops out and you're screwed, but I found on this forum this great pacemaker thing. So basically every tick, every frame, there's a 0 frame timeline called OSC pacemaker, and I've just made that is valid. If it's not valid, you do this once, reset server, and reset server is an event that just kicks off the server again. And is valid, we're talking about this server, so we link that value into there. So we just, every frame we just see if the server is alive, and if it isn't, then we make it alive again. So yeah, that's that server pacemaker thing. Kind of similar to this little function here, every 2 seconds, checking to see if the live link is connected. It's very useful. Okay, great. So we've got the OSC server. We set it as a variable OSC server. We bind an event on the message received. So on message received, we get a message. We'll set that as a variable. We'll get the address, because the address is the thing that is what we need to pull apart here. And I've made an enum, and it's just got all the commands there. And then I've got this, what do you call this? A map thing. So I've mapped the strings to the enum, and then I'm just going to go find this string, whatever it is, into this enum, and then branch it off into whatever. So if battery gets called, then we do the battery query event. Battery query event. Basically, information with an OSC comes in as an index. Sometimes it's up to 4. I found with this particular app. Index 0 is just the first one. So the current incoming message at index 0 will get the message float. If there's a float, there is. It's a battery. I've times it by 100, added a percent on the edge of the string, and that's the battery life. If you want a more in-depth way of getting that information, I've created this parser here. So basically, a sequence. First pass gets all the booleans in the message, in the whole message. So at every index, it checks every slot to see if there's a boolean. Then it goes and sees if there's a float at every variable. Then every string and every integer, and then just stores them as variables. It's a good way of getting that. I'll just expand that out so you guys can see it, what I've done here. It works a treat. Great. So that's how the OSC server works. That's how the OSC client works. If we go to record stop, now here's where it gets complicated. We've got stops recording, replies to the OSC stand target with record stop confirm with a time code, then 2 different strings of 2 different addresses. Then you can use it in the transport command to send the data from here to here. And then you use this transport command, include an IP thing, and then a path. And you can either designate the CSV blend shapes or the MOV reference video. It will open up a TCP connection to that address and port, and then it'll send the contents of the file. So I'll explain how to do this. I should just say, to make this OSC work and the TCP, what you've got to do is go into Norton Antivirus if you've got Norton, go settings, go firewall, and go into somewhere in there and just allow any connections, incoming and outgoing, on any device on your network, and then everything will talk to each other and won't get blocked. So TCP, start TCP server. I've done this right on begin play. Where is it? Over here. I'll bring that back. It's kind of like an OSC server. Maybe it's the same thing. Maybe they both work. I really don't know, but I've got them both going, and it's great. This TCP server is a plugin I bought on the Unreal Store called TP Socket plugin. It's awesome. And this one as well is also good. So let's talk about that. So we've set it at port 888. This is the default Unreal port. It seems to work. we get socket service target, and we plug in our IP, the computer's IP, and that starts the server. Great. There's two ways to bind events on things that come in. One can come in on socket server connection event, and then you can find out if it's a client event or a server event. That's pretty useful. But we're not going to use it right now. We're just going to use this other bind event on server receive TCP message. So we get the TCP message. We've sent the command transport. Let me just find it here. So I'm going to transport the information across. Boof. I'm going to set the address as transport. Now we have to add a string. Now we have to include the IP address and the port. So I've got the local IP. I've appended a little semicolon, and then I've plugged in the port. So it's that kind of that formatted string. Then I'm going to get, just for now, there's a bit of a hassle here, and I can't quite work it out. But basically, you get the path returned by that last call function, which is the date, then the month, then the day, the slate, the take, then a subfolder, slate and take .mov. That's what it's stored in on the phone. You find what you want. Now, I haven't quite worked out how to do it other than a string. This works for me at the moment. Then you plug that value in as a string, and you send it. I'll come back to why and what and where later. But let's just go to, so we'll receive the TCP message back, and we'll receive a file. And so what we do is we bind that event. The session ID has all the information, has a lot of information, and that's what we turn into an array of bytes. And whoa, that's loud. We save that to the game directory, and we can make a thing. So I'll just call this did it work? .mov. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. So if we go into here, play, record, it starts recording, and the take opener, the take thing is there. Stop it. It should send that information to the desktop. If we open that up, you can see there's the paths that we need to get. Exactly right. If we don't, but okay, it didn't send. Let's have a look and see why. So if we go into application log and go down, oh, I should have closed this program. Transport requested for a non-existent file. So if we set this as a proper file, I'll just go in to the blueprint itself. And I'll make it a literal string of the recording video 202 07 24 scene 1 1 1 1. That's the video we want. And I've bound this to the 9 key just to speed it up so we don't have to actually record anything again. So if we play that again, and then press 9, poof, hopefully, there you go, it's found the file, connected, there's the bytes number, done. Did it work? .mov, there it is, it did work. It's only 20 kilobytes, so maybe it didn't, and you can't open it, but it kind of worked. Maybe it's just because it's a very small video. So this is really, as far as my knowledge in this works. But if you link this to instead of the MOV, the CSV file comes across perfectly. So the information is coming across. It's just the MOV. Maybe because I'm on a Windows computer, it doesn't recognize the codec. I'm not quite sure. The other thing I want to talk about is that MOV path. If we would have stored that as a record stop, over here we get that information on index 2. which is the MOV file string that we got. Here we can get it, stop. You can see there, that's string 2 I've made come up. So we get that string and we'll convert it to a variable. Now if we get that variable and it's a string, MOV path, and put it in there instead of this literal string, we run it, we go play, press 9 to send. We get this, invalid arguments. I don't know what it means. I don't know why it doesn't work. If anyone knows, please help me out. So yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know. It's fun. It's useful to have all these tools available and have it remote, because it means that you can take this on the road. And OSC, just learning about this has kind of opened up a world of opportunities of connectivity, and also the TCP. That works provided you let it in through the firewall, as I was talking about. Is there anything else you need to know? Oh yeah, so event end play, make sure you stop all the TCP servers and stop all the UDP servers. Otherwise they'll run forever. I've found that UDP doesn't actually know when it's stopped, and you have a look in your console and it'll just be like this crazy thing just going on forever. And there's been some comments in forums going, how do I make it stop? I can't make it stop. It's just a matter of actually going in here and stopping the server. Yeah. So enjoy.